All right, welcome to the show, y'all. We have a lot to get to today. So in just a second, Trump announced that he's deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C. He's federalizing the D.C. police force. He's basically declaring war on the homeless population. So we'll talk about that. I'll give you a whole bunch of important information. Then we'll get to a terrible story of a legendary journalist who was killed by the IDF in a terror attack. I'll give you that breakdown. They are so brazen, man. They do not care. They know there's no consequences. They know there's no justice. They know nobody's fighting for the right side of this thing. So they're just going balls to the wall. We'll talk about that. We'll also get to an amazing new Epstein story. You do not want to miss this story. Wait until you hear this new fact we just learned about just how close Trump and Epstein were. It's gonna blow your mind. So hang in there for that. And then also a town hall erupts in boos at a MAGA politician, and he's quite literally booed off stage. And Pete Hegseth went full Christian nationalist, and he's now promoting this extremist pastor who openly declares that women shouldn't have the right to vote and we should take that away from them. So there is a lot of stuff to get to today, and I'm not even giving you all of it. There's a lot more on top of that as well. So everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. And thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. We, of course, could not do it without you. This is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never talked to a corporation, never talked to a billionaire, never talked to a government. You guys fund this show on Patreon, $2 per month at a time or $5 per month at a time. You can also support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And go subscribe to the Corin's World YouTube channel where we drop live Kyle and Corin podcasts. We try to get to it every single week. But of course, this week, Corin's on vacation, so we will be back next week, but we don't have one this week. All right, guys, let's go ahead without any more interruptions here. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So Trump came out the other day and he said the following. This was a bit of an eye-opening moment because I was like, uh-oh, where's this going to go? He says, "We're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our Capitol safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you a place to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, like the border. We went from millions pouring in to zero in the past few months." Total lie, by the way. "This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our Capitol back. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So as soon as I saw that, I went, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. We are not getting the whole story. We're only getting a little sliver of it. This is the cover story. Well, what the hell are they planning on doing? Then, of course, we get this. He says, this is now yesterday, he says, "Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border. Zero illegals in the last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Okay, so now you're beginning to see a little more of what's going on here. Now he's not just talking about homeless people. He's talking about liberating Washington, D.C., which, by the way, totally ironic that he brings up crime, savagery, filth, and scum, because, of course, it was Donald Trump who brought us the January 6th riot where he and his thugs tried to overturn the election. There were a whole bunch of criminals in D.C. You pardoned them, including the violent ones, 1,200 of them. So right off the bat, that annoys me. And this is just so dishonest how he's framing it. So what we learn is what Trump is going to do is send in the National Guard. And he's also going to federalize the D.C. police force. So he comes out. This is just, an hour or two ago now. And here's what he says.
"We're here for a very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now.
Okay, so he's deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C. He's federalizing the D.C. police. This is, as we told you at the time, the canary in the coal mine was what he was doing in L.A. He federalized the California National Guard. He also sent the Marines into California. And what he found was, hey, I largely got away with this. Yeah, there are some court cases over it, but it's not like it's going through a fast lane or anything like that. We're getting our answers quickly. That's not happening at all. So since I'm basically getting away with it and the timeline to even try to stop it in the courts is really fucking slow, well, I could just keep doing this wherever I want for whatever reason I want. So here's the reality, though, that he's not telling you, and this proves this is not about what he pretends it's about. He's saying it's about homeless people. He's saying it's about crime. That would be bad enough and illegal on its own. But here's the reality, y'all. Crime in D.C. is at historic lows. Trump isn't calling in the National Guard to fight crime. He's doing it as a power play and a test of his authority. If we have to flood the streets with the military during peacetime, just imagine what he'll do during the elections. That's exactly right. And that's a terrifying thought. So here's what he's not telling you. Violent crime in D.C. down 26%. All crime down 7%. Robbery down 28%. Homicide down 12%. Aggravated assault down 20%. Sexual abuse down 49%. These are the facts. These are the real numbers. So again, what are we witnessing here? We're witnessing what a fascist dictator does. We're witnessing power for the sake of power. We're witnessing control for the sake of control. We're witnessing Trump getting away with it in LA and not getting nearly enough pushback. And so now he's going, I'll just do it anywhere and everywhere I want. And as Josh points out here, yeah, this really lays the precedent for what's likely to happen during the election. He's going to scream fraud. He's going to scream that, the left is rigging it and this is unfair. And then he's going to send in some federal troops to crack some skulls and to make sure they rig that election. And this is on top of what we're seeing them rig it out in the open, right? I mean, the whole gerrymandering fight has been out in the open, and they're saying we want to take 5 more seats here, 8 more seats there. We want to increase the number of Republican seats because we know we can't win straight up. But we're going to go even a little deeper. We're going to go even a little... Oh, I should point this out also. Trump's own DOJ was bragging in a press release that's still on their website earlier this year that crime in D.C. was at 30-year lows. Further, the murder rate is half that of St. Louis, Missouri. If they're going to try to justify the military in D.C., based on that, they will try to justify anything. That's the terrifying part of this. Got away with it in California, got away with it in L.A., now moving it to D.C. By the way, we warned you. We covered this on the show, what was it, about a week ago or so? The plan from the Pentagon is, hey, let's do this basically in every major city. Well, now here we are, and they're doing it to the second major city. D.C. is where I'm sitting right now, y'all. That's where I'm sitting right now. I'm about to witness this firsthand. And the only thing that pops to mind, which is somewhat similar, is, around the time of COVID or the Black Lives Matter protest and, the changing of the guard from Trump to Biden. That was the only time where, you'd be in D.C. and you'd look around. It looked like a post-apocalyptic landscape where you don't see anybody else anywhere. But you see a whole bunch of military vehicles and you see, people with guns. And you go, oh, shit, this doesn't feel right. This feels very bizarre. It feels bizarre. Well, now we're going to get that, potentially on steroids. But I got one more for you. So here is Brian Baez did a video on this. And I agree with his conclusion that he comes to here. He's going to lay out one of the things that's going to happen as a direct result of this move from Trump.
Breaking news, Donald Trump is about to deploy 1,000 National Guard to D.C., and this all comes after he demanded that homeless people immediately move out of Washington, D.C. On Truth Social, he said, I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. The criminals don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. He literally proposed moving homeless people to high-quality tents on inexpensive land outside of cities while providing access to bathrooms and medical professionals. In other words, high-quality tents on inexpensive land that's outside of cities and has access to medical professionals and bathrooms.
So for everybody just listening to this podcast style, he was showing how what he means is he's going to send these people to Alligator Alcatraz. And what he means is I'm going to send these people to the other concentration camps that they're now building across the country. Of course, they've sent people to the Gulag concentration camp Sikot in El Salvador. They've sent them to Guantanamo Bay. They want to send 30,000 people to Guantanamo Bay. They're sending people to Alligator Auschwitz, where, by the way, we learned officially that there's torture going on there. And now he's going to send these people to other makeshift concentration camps. That's what's happening. So understand something. The idea that this is like, oh, we're going to help these homeless people. Absolute nonsense. If anything, this is akin to, this was the beginning of the Nazi crackdown. They went after homeless people. And it's the same mindset. Shove them in camps, fuck them, forget about them, whatever happens, happens.
This is straight out of the Nazi playbook. Homeless people were among the groups targeted by the Nazi regime and sent to concentration camps. The Nazis implemented policies against those they considered asocial or work shy, which included homeless individuals, beggars, and others who didn't fit their vision of productive society. Under Nazi ideology, homelessness was often viewed as a character flaw or moral failing rather than a social problem. And yes, they in turn were sent to concentration camps labeled as undesirable. And here's the worst part. He says, I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. But in order for him to do that, the homeless have to move out immediately. Basically saying that homeless people make the city less safe and ugly, which means they're lowering the value and the quality of the state. Their playbook has always been the same. It is the dehumanization and vilification of a group of people to be able to justify why you're segregating them and expelling them from fucking society.
That's exactly right. And, this is why I keep telling people, I don't want you to say, oh, we're on the brink of authoritarianism. We're on the brink of fascism. This is something that we've heard from a lot of people. It's a very common saying when talking about Trump and this regime. But it's time to graduate from that talking point. It's time to graduate from that. No, it's here. It's already here. And I don't know how much more evidence anybody would need in order to conclude that it's here. When you have ICE Gestapo thugs covering their faces, rounding up innocent people, sending them to concentration camps, no due process, no habeas corpus, no hearing, no anything. A lot of these people end up being American citizens. A lot of them end up being legal immigrants. When you have that going on right in front of our eyes, and that continues, and you have courts say, hey, stop it, and then they don't stop it. When you have the invasion of LA, when you have the National Guard occupying it, the Marines occupying it, and now he's doing it in Washington, D.C., when you have them out in the open trying to rig the next election and trying to steal more Republican seats, I don't know what else you would need. I mean, when you look at the foreign policy front, too, Trump just signed something the other day, a directive that says we're going to go to war against the drug cartels in Latin America. That's greenlighting war with Mexico. That's what that is. So threatening Greenland, now greenlighting war with Mexico, bombing Yemen, bombing Somalia, and of course, illegally and offensively bombing Iran on behalf of Israel. We got all this stuff going on. On what planet are we on the brink of something? No, it's here. It is here. And it's horrible to see, man. It's horrible to see. So they're using the cover story of, oh, we're going to go after homeless people. But it's not like they are going to go after homeless people. They're going to round them up. They're going to send them to these concentration camps. But that's only part of the story. It goes a lot further than that. It goes a lot deeper than that. In the same way that we've seen these ICE raids all across the country where innocent people are getting round up. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. And it's power for the sake of power. It's control for the sake of control. It's I can do this because I can do whatever the fuck I want and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And shame on fucking anybody and everybody who goes along with this. And of course, this is going to be tried in court, but it's going to take fucking forever. And then, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants in the meantime. And there's basically this massive loophole, this massive flaw in our system of checks and balances, which is, there's no enforcement mechanism for what the courts say. And also, it takes too fucking long, right? And so here we are. We're at the whim of what is effectively a tin pod dictator, and it's never been more obvious. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.